Hello, everyone, and salam alaikum. Greetings of peace and blessings. It's really wonderful to be with all of your hearts. So wonderful to see all your faces as they come on screen. So, we are here to welcome you to our next Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Yasmin Al Hadi from the Marifa Foundation, and we're so glad to have you join us for this offering that's a collaboration between the Institute of Spiritual Healing and the Marifa Foundation. This is an opportunity led by Dr. Ibrahim Jaffe to really connect in with our ancient Sufi teachings and wisdoms and find out how to really hold those teachings to help us navigate the world, ourselves, our communities, our families, and to really help us navigate what's inside ourselves so that we can continue to bring our light out even more deeply to the world. So today we have Dr. Jaffe talking to us a bit about the divine and who we call Allah, and how that divine really is the overarching source of all things, of safety, protection, power, greatness. And so Dr. Jaffe will really help us look at what that anchor is, what might be veiling us from holding on tightly at all times, and sort of the freedom that comes with letting go of anything other than that pull. Dr. Jaffe is a Sufi master and spiritual guide. He's one of who we call a murshid, someone who has reached the highest spiritual levels in our order. He really is able to help people walk deeply in their connection with the divine and really grow spiritually and get that closeness to the divine, to Allah. He cares deeply for every heart who's here and for the light to really amplify throughout the world, making a global impact. So without further ado, Ibrahim, thank you so much for being here, and we'll turn tonight's talk over to you.
Hey, thank you for that nice introduction, Yasmin. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, and we're doing our first Wisdom Wednesdays of February 2025, right? So anyways, welcome, everyone. Tonight we're going to be discussing something that is very strong going on in the world. It has to do with something called the jinn. The jinn are beings that can affect us in very deep levels. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what I think is happening, some of the ways that you can protect yourself, some of the things you need to keep yourself safe at this time. So it's an important topic that we're going to be discussing. These usually tend to be, we generally teach these more after a few years. We don't teach it right up front. But because it's so active, I think we do need to talk about it. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So everybody close your eyes. We're going to do the Fatiha, the opening Sufi prayer, and we want to bring in the light of God, of Allah. And we want to anchor it in our hearts because the light of Allah is very, very powerful and it's very protective. Like you'll see as you deepen your teachings that when you do the Fatiha, it literally will drive these jinn out of your body, out of your being, where they can make trouble for you. All right, so close your eyes. Let me start with this, and then we'll go into the teachings more deeply. Okay. All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. Okay, now I'm going to ask the prophets to come in. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadan Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ibrahim Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Musa Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Isa Rasulullah. Alayhi salatullah. Amen. Okay, so I want you just to feel the downpouring of light. It's a very subtle light tonight, very soft. Just let it come in, kind of like a lacy, I don't know, kind of the way I would imagine the manna came in when the Israelites were in the 40 years in the desert. They were eating manna. It feels a little bit like that tonight. Okay. And remember that a lot of the way we connect to God, to Allah, is through these chants, what are called dhikrs, and through surrendering, and through certain types of prayers. So there's ways to call that light into you. So I'm going to ask Allah now through His holy names to send all the caring and the protection upon the people listening tonight, upon all of our beloveds, upon all the people who love to be in the presence of God, and to keep all people safe as they walk towards the One. Amen. I want you all to ask Allah for what you need. What is Allah asking from you at this time? Amen. 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 Subhana rabbika rabbika zati amma yusufun. Assalamu ala mursaleen. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amen. Okay, so when we do the Fatiha and these prayers, we're setting a foundation inside of your heart. We're creating a foundation. It's like we're putting a sun inside your heart, and the sun shines light. Um, if you look in the outside of the world today, there's a lot of problems. If you look all over the world, we've got, just in the United States, we've got changing governments, changing parties, changing presidents. There's a great deal of stress that people are under because they don't really know what's going to happen. They don't know what are the outcomes of these changes. So a lot of people are in fear. If we look worldwide, we've got what? How many wars? We've got a war now in Somalia. We've got a war in Israel. We've got a war in the Ukraine. And there are other ones. There's still, skirmishes in India and other parts of the world, throughout Africa. There's all sorts of skirmishes. So there's a lot going on worldwide. Whether you realize it or not, it's affecting you very deep inside. In other words, deep down inside your being, the light of what goes on in the world comes into you because we're all connected. You don't realize you're connected, but we're all connected. Now, at one level, I can say that to you, we're all connected, but in time, you'll actually feel it, and some of you may actually see it. May Allah may actually show it to some of you, where you'll see the light that connects everybody here on our planet. We're actually one. Okay. And when something happens, like people get hurt or killed or whatever happens, it affects that grid, and all of us get affected. We all feel it. We all shake. I don't, some of you, have you woken up in the morning? It's like you're shaking, or you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's happened. Something happened in the night, you haven't followed it. You don't really know what's going on, but your system knows what's going on. Okay. So in the Sufi teachings, we want you to learn to be able to become conscious of what's going on. You have to learn about it, because if you're not conscious of it, it's all happening subconsciously. It's affecting you below your consciousness level. And a lot of you are moving into fear with it. And you don't realize it. Okay. Now, the second thing which happens, which people may not be aware of, is that Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, glory be to the Most High, is trying to protect you from all of this stuff. He's trying to keep you safe. And safe means that you're not going into fear and you're not making mistakes of choices, because when you're afraid, you're going to do crazy things. I remember one time we used to take people on, I like to sail. We used to take people sailing, and we were sailing off of St. John's in Florida, I mean, in Virgin Islands. And we were in the water. Everybody was swimming. It was a beautiful bay. I think it's called Keneal Bay. Everybody was swimming in Keneal Bay. I was on the boat, watching, making sure everybody was safe. And all of a sudden, I noticed that there's three sharks in the water. Little ones. They weren't big, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet, but enough that maybe they could make problems. So I called everybody. I said, everybody, either go to the shore or come back to the boat. I don't want you in the water. So everybody swam back. They all decided they wanted to be in the boat. So they all swam back to the boat. They got on the boat. They were safe. There was one girl who was busy. I don't know what she was doing out there, but she wasn't paying attention. That's how we are. We're not paying attention, except for him. All right. And then, hey, so then I called out to her and I say to her, I won't tell you her name, but I say, hey, there's a shark in the water. Go to the shore, get back to the boat, but get out of the water. And she's swimming out there, right? And she was maybe 50 feet away from the boat. When she heard what I said, she went into panic. She went into absolute panic. And she started going, "Ah, ah, ah." She started shaking and shaking her arms around. And next thing I know, she was on a raft. She flips her raft upside down in the water. She's shaking in the water, which is exactly what draws the sharks to them. And she literally putting herself in the worst situation, because what she needed to do was quietly go back to the boat. And instead, out of her fear, she's shaking around and she's drawing the sharks to her. So we got over to her, we got the boat over to her, we got her out. Everything was fine. But I learned a really important thing, which is that when people get triggered, they start shaking around and they start making all sorts of troubles for themselves. Okay, so one of the things we want to do is we want to keep you in a state of peace. We want to keep you in a state of support and gentleness and protection and kindness. When you do that, you won't make these type of mistakes. If you're angry, what happens? You're striving, you're angry. What do? You run a stoplight, you can get in an accident, if not, you get caught by the police, right? Or if you're upset, what happens? You lose your connection, something happens to you. When you're not balanced, things happen inside of you. Okay, well, here's the thing. There are forces out there that will essentially be drawn to you when you go into those states of consciousness. Okay, those forces, there's many names for them, but one of the names we call are jinn. A jinn, if anybody watched Aladdin, you remember the genie from Aladdin? Well, that's really a jinni. That's where the name came from. The genie is a jinn. Okay, what are jinn? Okay, they are made of essential fire. Essential fire. They're not, well, we're made of clay as human beings. They're made out of essential fire. Okay, and the jinn are invisible to us most of the time. Some of us can see them at times. So I mean, there's some people like the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who could see it all the time. I've seen them a number of times. I don't see them all the time. Um, they can take form at times. And there's some very famous ones. I don't know if any of you have ever been on the Big Island. You may have heard of Pele. Pele is a jinn. Pele is a famous jinn of the Hawaiian Islands who hangs out in the volcanic flows, and many people have seen her. And they see her, she can take form. She has taken form. Many of the Hawaiian kahunas, I've talked to them, they've seen her, they've talked to her. She exists, she's there. But she also can go into her other form, and then you don't see her. She's invisible. So these jinn are there. They can see you, but most of the time you can't see them. Okay. However, they can affect you. That's the problem. They can affect you. And what I'm seeing today is they are affecting people in the world very strongly. This is one of the things that's going on right now is the jinn, and there are good jinn too, not only bad. There's some very good jinn, but there are bad jinn as well. And by the way, the jinn they live a very long time, unless they die, which they can die. They can live millions of years. Some of them are millions of years old. They live a very, very long time. And they can have children, the same as we do. But they live a very long time. Now, these jinn, the bad ones, they can send a light. They actually can send a type of light, and that light can affect us. And this is what one of the problems that's happening in the world today is that there are many people being affected by the jinn. They're very active for whatever reason right now. They become very active. So the bad ones, the good ones too, I think, but the bad jinn seem to be active. Okay, so when I watch and I'm looking at what's happening, the light that they send is going into many of your minds, is going into your minds. And what's happening is that you're getting some of you have you felt it? You're like confused, you feel lost, you don't know what's going on, you're getting maybe depressed, you feel disconnected from you from Allah, you feel disconnected from God, you can't get to your practices. This is generally the intrusion of this light. Okay. So you have to become aware of it. If you're not aware of it, you're caught by it. If you're caught by it, it's like being ignorant doesn't protect you from it. Being conscious of it protects you of it. You have to be conscious that it's going on and you have to do something. So if you wake up in the morning, because the jinn they have times of day where they're very active. There are times when they're active are the twilight times. So the twilight, anytime there's twilight, that's when they come around. Okay. So when first light comes in, those of you that pray the morning prayer, Fajr prayer, from Fajr till the sun comes up is a very active time for them. Okay. If you're sleeping and you're not doing anything to kind of create protection around yourself, you are a wide open door. You're giving access to yourself. Okay. And the access is getting this confusion into your being. So what's happening is people are saying, I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I don't know where to go. Okay. So in Sufism, there's ways to protect yourself from that intrusion. Okay. So here, I want to give you the protections tonight. I want you to start working on them and watch what happens. I bet you that if you do some of these, you'll actually see that you start feeling better. You'll think better, you'll be clearer. Also, for many people, the jinn can be very involved in body pain. They're very able to bring pain to people. So those of you that are in pain in your bodies, a lot of times the jinn are there and around that type of thing. When you get the jinn out, your pain will often sometimes just disappear. And sometimes it just goes way down. Okay. So I want you to learn these protections. Okay. So first thing, what's the first protection? Try to be conscious in twilight times. In other words, don't be sleeping in these times. Try to be conscious. It's when you're unconscious that you don't have the protection. Okay. Secondly, during the twilight times, try to be present with God. God's light is protective. If you're with God, generally they won't have access. So be with Allah, be with God, pray. Do your prayers, do your practices, do your dhikr, do your remembrance, use the sacred names. These things will protect you. If you don't know those or you don't like those, then read sacred text. What is sacred text? Well, read the Torah, read the Quran, read the Bible. There's protection in these things. Read them. Those books will help you. They will give you some protection so you can read those things. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to bring Allah's light into your world during these times. Okay, the more you do that, you will have protection. It's like you're putting a protective light around you. Okay, those of you that pray, pray. Okay, those of you that pray the Salat is very powerful. Salat is the normal prayer that the Sufi, the Muslims do. When you pray Salat, that light is incredibly washing. It will wash the jinn out of you. And no matter who you are, you can get attacked. I've been attacked many, many times by these things, and I do this a lot, and it washes them out of me. It takes them out of me. So use that. Use the prayer. If you're praying, use your salat. If you're not praying salat, use whatever prayer. The Lord's Prayer is helpful. If you're Jewish, the Shema is helpful. Use these prayers. They will help you to wash these things out of you. Okay, next. They come in where you have an opening. Okay, what's the opening they're coming into now? Confusion. When you're confused, you open the door for them to come in. Okay, so and the other side of it is, unfortunately, when they come in, they make you confused. So it's kind of like either way, it kind of bothers you. So if you're confused, why are you confused? Because you're confused about what you're doing. You're confused about your connection. You're confused about your spirituality. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you stand for. That confusion opens the door of your mind. Now, anybody can come in and say, well, this is what you before you would say, you know what, I believe in God. I don't want to hear anything else. Now you're like confused. I don't know what I believe. I don't know where I am. So now people can talk to you. They can whisper to you. They can say this, they can say that. And you're like, oh, yeah, maybe that's right. You open the door to let them come in. Okay. And it doesn't, it can come through other people. It doesn't, a jinn can speak through your family member. A jinn can speak to another person. So it's not only that it's coming in on the subtle, it can come in on non-subtle levels, meaning that someone can actually talk to you. They don't even realize they're doing it. I was in the dentist chair one time being worked on. And as I was working, as the dentist was working on me, um, the dental assistant all of a sudden brought a gin in, but not a good gin, a bad gin. So I'm in the chair, and all of a sudden the gin comes in, and the dentist who was working on me immediately was caught by the gin. So he's working on the tooth, and I'm watching him as the gin came in. The way he worked on me, he became aggressive. He became angry. He started digging into the teeth. He started working on it in a really not a nice way. I had to stop. I had to say, "Hey, excuse me, let's reboot this. I don't want to be worked on in this way. I want you to be peaceful when you work on me. I want good energy to go into my tooth. I don't want this type of thing going on." And they apologized. They didn't mean to do it, but it was operating in that moment. Okay. So you want to keep yourself present with Allah. You want to keep yourself away from these type of discussions, and you all know it. You've felt it. I'm sure there's many times you're walking someplace, somebody starts to talk to you, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? This doesn't feel good. Something doesn't feel right here. There's something going on there. You have to be conscious of it, be aware of it, and you in our state you would say, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim." A'udhu billahi. I take refuge in God from these type of things we call shaitan. I take refuge from them in the light of God. That will help you. That will protect you. So you can say that. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan ar-rajim. These are words. They will give you protection. But you don't have to just say it once. Say it 100 times. Say it until the person leaves. Okay. If you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you feel discomfort, you just get scared. Something's going on. You're going out to your car. you're getting scared, something's happening. You start chanting that. "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, a'udhu billahi." It will bring a light around you. That light will push those things away from you. It will protect you. It will keep you safe. Use them. Don't, and most people, they doubt. They say, "Oh, that's not real. That didn't really happen. I don't, I must just be crazy. I'm something, I'm going to be crazy about this." For example, I was in the Winn-Dixie, which is near where I live. It's our grocery store out here in the Keys. And I'm in the Winn-Dixie. I came in late at night. I mean, it was before they closed. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was walking in the store and I noticed a man very, very dirty. Um, Both in his dress, in his energy, and his light. And I immediately had the sense of gin and discomfort around him. And I didn't know who he was or what he was, but I didn't like it. And I didn't feel that I felt there was danger. There was danger here. So I basically began, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim," and he walked away from me. He didn't like the light of that. He left. Well, I get up to the cash register. Now it's like 10:30 at night. It's late. There's only like three people left in the store. The manager of the store, myself, this man, and maybe one other person. So I'm standing there. The man is checking out in, self-checkouts on one lane. I'm on the other line. I'm checking out. The manager of the store runs over to me. She runs behind me and she grabs me. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" She said, "I'm afraid of that man over there. He's threatening me. He's going to hurt me." She grabs me and she holds onto my back and she asked me to protect her from him. Okay. And I said, "Well, what's he doing?" He's threatening me. I'm scared of him. So I began, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, a'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim." Asked Allah, set a very strong field of light around me. The man was looking at me, looking at her, looking at me, looking at her, finished up, and he left. He didn't bother us. And I waited. I didn't leave the store until I was watching that he got to his car and he drove away. Okay. So these things will help you if you use them, and you should use them. Let them, when you need it, use it. If you're afraid, use it. If something feels wrong, use it. Okay, so what can you do? You can pray. You can use the chant I just gave you, the dhikr, A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. You can pray. You can just focus on the name of God, focus on the remembrance of God. All those things will help you. They'll send light that will make these things go away. All right, what else do I want to tell you about? Okay. By the way, there are also good jinn. We have one that lives out here not too far from me. Incredibly beautiful. One of the most beautiful beings I have ever experienced in my life. It's like radiant light of different, he's so beautiful. I've just never ever seen anything like it. He's stunning. Absolutely stunning. So there are also good ones, and they're here for their reasons. They're here, whatever, why they're here. They've been here for sometimes some of these maybe thousands, 10,000, 20,000 years they've been living here, and they like being here. So there are very good ones as well. There are also ones that are healers. There are some very good ones that are very old healers that can help you. There are those that have been around so long, they knew, Jesus, they knew Moses, they've been around longer than that, they know them. They can tell you if you learn to be able to listen to them, they can talk to you about them. Um, they're amazing. There are some of them that are just absolutely amazing and stunning and beautiful. So I hope that you all get the experience of those type of jinn as well, which are the good ones. But they're, you learn to know the good ones and learn to know the other ones. Okay, so to sum this up, um, the world is on the outer very confusing right now, right? You've got all these changes going on. People are getting confused. They don't know what's right. Okay, when you get confused and you don't know what's right, you open the door in your mind for people to talk to you, because normally you're present with, God or Allah or, something, angels. But when you're confused, you just don't know what you're listening to. Okay. When that happens and these jinn come in, you will feel more confused. You may feel a little sick. Sometimes you can feel very cold. Sometimes you can also, some of them can make you burn. You'll feel burning. You'll have a sense of heaviness, like a sense of oppression in your being. You'll sometimes depression. You'll feel like, oh, something feels really wrong here. I don't feel good. I feel a bit sick. What's going on? If they're operating from other people, meaning that they've come into other people, you may feel danger. Okay, if you feel any of those things, go into the practices. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Begin and to do the practices until you build up a field of light around you. Build up the field of light. Okay, and that light should scare them off. It should chase them away. When you're finished, I mean, when they leave and you're safe, look at yourself and ask yourself why they came into you. Why did they come around you? Because you have an opening. You've got to look into it. You have an opening and see if you can um, understand what the opening is. And when you find it, clean it, clear it, work on clearing it. If you don't know how to clear it, attend the school. We'll teach you a peer. Come to the Sufi circle. You'll learn some of it there. Learn how to protect yourself and learn how to use the clearing to get you in a state of safety. Okay, so that's the basic teaching. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about tonight. Oh, no, there was one other thing. One of the ways the jinn are getting into people has to do the jinn. You know who was a jinn, right? Who was the one of the oldest and most ancient jinn of all? Do you know who it was? The jinn was at the right hand of God. Do you know who that was?
Iblis.
Iblis. In English, Lucifer. Okay, he was a jinn. Okay, and look at that. He's at the right hand of God. Do you realize how intelligent he is? How conscious he is? He's conscious. He's intelligent. Okay, he's become the leader. He's the general for those things. All right. One of the ways that he works on you, and what I'm seeing happening in our country, in the United States, has to do with the quality azim. Azim means greatness or magnificence. It's a quality of greatness or magnificence. When it's not right, it goes into arrogance. Okay, so azim in its negative is arrogance. In its positive, it's the greatness and grandeur of God. Okay, if you are seeking greatness, if you're seeking grandeur, if you're seeking to be special, if you're seeking to be these things, you may be seeking from yourself. Like if you're seeking the greatness of God, you'd like to see the world be under the hand of God and be a great, magnificent place, and the whole world becomes under the hand of God. That's good. That's a good thing. But if you drop it and you go back to yourself, I want to be great. I want to be special. I want to be important, or I am great, or I am important, or I am special. Now you're opening the negative side of Azim. Okay, and that's what's a little bit happening in the world right now. People are, because they're feeling actually quite diminished, are seeking to be powerful and magnificent. And in doing that, they're opening the doors to the jinn coming in. So I want you to be careful with this quality. Like, watch in yourself your own need for being special, your own need for being magnificent, your own need to be important. Watch that place because that is a door. It can come into you from that place. And I think that's happening very strongly in the world today because people are feeling very oppressed. Okay, so that was one of the big keys I was seeing, is certainly in the United States, that this is something that we in this country need to be very conscious of, be very careful with it. Watch closely. Okay, and there was one other piece I wanted to talk to you about. The other thing that's important is for you to be in your hearts. If you're in your heart and you're living from your heart, there is safety. The heart carries love. And when you have love, there's safety. So, okay. In other words, when you have very strong love in your heart, the love creates a field around you. That's why you've heard, what was that one song? When two are gathered here in the name of God, there's grace. I don't remember the name of that song, but um, when two people are together and they care about each other, there's a connection that happens to them. That connection of love has power to it. It's very strong on the inner. That connection of love can fight all sorts of things. If you any of you have kids and you watched Harry Potter, I don't know, I've got five of them, so I've watched them more times than I want to watch. If you've watched Harry Potter, remember when the Dark Lord, whatever his name was, comes in, and Harry Potter actually is the one that's responsible for his death. So Harry Potter is the one who puts the Dark Lord away, and he was only a baby. But in the story, as it comes out, it wasn't really only Harry Potter. It was the love between his mother and himself, and it was actually the love that the mother was transmitting to him that actually destroyed the Dark Lord. That's actually true. I mean, it's real. If you love your child so much, that love will be very protective. If you love your husband or your wife very much, there's a protection. You have your children in the house and you love each other, the love will protect you. If you don't have the love, you're not as well protected. The love is very protective. So um, try to be in your heart, try to be in the love, and try to love others, and particularly your family. And if you do that, you'll create a field of light around you that will be very protective for you and keep these things out. Okay. So that's my hope for all of you. Generally, by the way, people don't see the jinn until they enter the third station. The third station of the soul is when you'll first start to see the jinn. Not everybody sees them, but many people will see them. And those of you who are in the third station of the soul, if you get sick, like you're really sick, that is also a time that the jinn come around, and also you may see them. I've seen them when I've been sick. That was the times that I've most seen them is when I'm sick. Then all of a sudden they're very, very clear to me. They come in and I see them like I'm looking at you on screen right now. I can see it's that clear. Okay. But when I'm not sick or I'm not in that state, I may not see them at all for sometimes a year or two or three. But then all of a sudden they're there again. Okay, so it's important. There's times that you will be able to see them. Some of them are extraordinarily beautiful, really beautiful. You'll be shocked. Some of them are not beautiful, and you don't want to be really around them. You want to stay away from them. Okay, so that's the basic teaching tonight. My hope is you'll protect yourselves. Don't walk out of this and say, "Oh, Ibrahim's crazy. This stuff doesn't exist." Because if you do that, it actually doesn't protect you. It's kind of like the ostrich, he's running away from the wolf, sees a hole and he sticks his head in the ground and he says, "Oh, now I'm safe because I can't see the wolf." He's not safe at all, so don't put your head in the ground and think that that will protect you. At the same time, don't walk around in fear. Don't be afraid of these things. You don't have to be afraid of them, but be aware, be conscious. And if you think it's going on, then practice the things that I spoke about tonight. It will really help you. It will help you in many ways. And you can share this with your friends and people you know because many, many people on the planet are being affected right now. And, we need to take care and we need to care for each other. Okay. Mohammed Anwar, you have anything you'd like to share about the jinn? Mohammed's been very conscious of this in his life. Anything you'd like to share to the group?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Um, I know it's last year, and so it's most of my healing is on this gene. I don't know, as much as I try to stay away, the more it comes to me. I'm basically afraid of these kind of things, but it's more and more coming to. So, and my experience is that very straight and very simple and easiest way is just to be with Allah and receive the love and light of Allah and transmit the light and love of Allah, and it eliminates everything. I don't have to do anything extra. And I do a lot of surahs and other protection, du'as and everything. But this is the most highest that worked for me. That simply just bow, connect to the light of Allah, and transmit, pour into it. That's it. I've seen many tough cases, many tough cases, being people dying and suffering and doesn't have much strength, facing the death. And this is what they said, this you saved my life. But really, I didn't do nothing, just simply connect to Allah and just transmit. Simple as that. That's been my experience. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much. Let me see. Rabia Goodwin, do you have anything to share here? You have also experience with the jinn, I think.
Oh, yes. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's wonderful to be with all your beautiful hearts. Mine was when you take a shower, 90% of the shower is just the water, and only 10% of it is the soap. And I guess I would just echo what beloved Muhammad was sharing, that, you know, you just let the light come in, and the prayers are the soap, and just stand in the light and let it pour.
Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
In fact, I remember I just talked to Yasmin Al-Hadi. We were talking about jinn. Maybe she told me a nice story that she was having on the Farm of Peace, was one of our centers on the East Coast. Yasmin, you want to tell the group your story that happened with the jinn today?
Sure. The Farm of Peace has sheep at the farm, and I was helping to care for them. And over the course of the winter, so the nights are shorter, sometimes when I would get to the rams to check on them, it was dark out. And I started to feel a little uncomfortable and a little like something was behind me. And then I started having weird things happen with my car where I would put my window up and I'd come back and it was down a little bit. And I said, this is interesting. Okay, Allah, can you give me the strength to not be afraid? What's moving here? So, what I realized was that there was a family of good jinn living in a row of trees that was right next to where the pen for the sheep was. And when I would come, if we had a song playing or a book on tape going, we were disturbing them as we would get up close to where they were living in the evenings. So on the inner, what we made this agreement that when I would come at night, we would stay quiet and respectful and greet them, um, and everything stopped. All the car trouble stopped, and they really started to protect the sheep. We'd been having some issues with coyotes and things, and they really started to protect the sheep. You could feel their presence come and greet us when we would pull up. If we were feeling under the weather, they would just be present and try to help heal. It was very beautiful, very, very opening of the deep respect we need to have, even with the things we can't see.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so everyone, do you have any questions about, we have about 10 minutes left of this session. Is there anything you want to ask around the gym or anything like this that might help you to feel better, or anything you want to know about things? Feel free to discuss them if you want. Just raise your hand, I guess. All right, Rabia, go ahead.
You just created a little bit of confusion in me when you spoke of Iblis.
Yes.
I thought Iblis was an angel.
No, he's a jinn.
Oh, never heard that before.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people think that it's an angel, but it's actually a jinn. But it was a very high jinn. I mean, it was at the right hand of God. It was a very, very high jinn. But he fell down because, well, you all know the story, but when God one of the last creations was mankind. He created a lot of things other than mankind before us. And we were created, but we were created as sort of mirrors of God. So what God gave to the human being is he gave us all elements. He gave us all the elements, and he also gave us the lowest of the low, but he also gave us the highest of the high. So all that's possible for the human being. So when he made the human being, he said to the angels, I want you to bow. He made Adam, but he also put that high light in Adam. And he said, I want you to bow to this creation, which is Adam, because he's carrying this, what we call Insan al Kamal, the perfect human. He carried it inside his heart, which is the presence of God. And the Iblis got very angry about it. He said, no. He said, I won't bow to the human being. And God said, why? He said, because I'm better than him. I am made of fire, he's made of clay. Fire is better than clay. I'm a better being than him, and he needs to bow to me. So it's fascinating that the very last teaching has to do with arrogance. The very last teaching of coming into the presence of God is you have to overcome arrogance. Okay, so Iblis wouldn't bow, but then God said, "Okay, then you can't be at my side anymore because you're not listening." And Iblis left, but he said, "Well, let me test this creation, which is the human being, and I will drive them into the fire. I will drive them into the darkness." And God said, yes, you can test them, but you won't be able to drive into the fire, the darkness, the people who believe in me and listen to me and follow me. So do your testing and try your hardest, but those people who believe I will protect. And that's the story of Iblis and Lucifer and why he's here and what he's doing.
Mm. So are the divas that the nature lovers talk about, are they jinn or are they angels? 'Cause
So those are angels. Those are
I
like
thought they were angels, yeah. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
are welcome. Okay, Rahima, Kara.
Hello. I had a question, and I have an example. I'll do the question first, and if you want my example, then I'll add it. That if a strong connection of love can attract negative jinn. Do you want me to add the example?
Yeah, tell me the example, because that usually doesn't work that way, but tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I had a situation where I was walking on the streets of San Francisco, and myself and a friend were connected with each other looking at a poster, and a woman came up and tried to burn my eye out with a cigarette butt, and I knew my friend was going to try to attack her, so I put her in a hold, and I backed away from the woman, and I'll never forget the cackle. It was a very evil sound, and I just said, get out, go away. And I told my friend it's not worth to fight, and that she's just going to try to harm us. And my feeling was she is trying to break the love that we had, because we really had a strong connection, although the friend ended up acting very jealous and not very caring. So perhaps the connection of love was on my side and not hers, but that's my example. So
I don't actually see it that way. When I look at it, there was a opening on the right over the eye where you got attacked. And so in that moment, there was love going on, which was actually maybe taking you deeper. You know, you were going closer to God through the love. But the jinn or whatever was in that lady saw that opening and she went after it. Okay, I was going to say to you that right where you showed me that exactly where the opening is, and that's where she threw the cigarette at you. But what was she doing? She was trying to break you from the love to keep you from going closer into the love. But at the same time, she's also trying to show you where you have an opening in yourself.
so I should still work on that opening.
got to work on it. If I can see it now, if I can feel it now, I'm sure it was even more there before.
Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Remember what I said, everybody. These, they are very, anyways, you have to clear yourself. If they create a problem for you, try to clear yourself. Don't, like in this case with Rahima, she has to go and take care of herself now. Now she's been given the knowledge, the medicine, but she has to take care of it. If she doesn't, then then it's not the right thing to do. Amal?
Assalamu alaikum. Um, uh, I had maybe a similar question where I, uh, over the past 10 days or so, I thought that I was going deeper into yeah, seeing some places connecting deeper, and then a sequence of events happened that are a little scary. And but the first one was actually I guess I wanted to check with you if ever you don't have that no feeling that you described and are mistaken. But so, I want basically a random experience happened where in the grocery store where a woman who was so gentle and actually so much beauty asked me for help. And I helped her buy the groceries and some stuff for her child, and it was children, and it was quite a bit of money, but it felt right. And no, and then after that, a couple of days later, I got backed into, like, a big truck just backed into the side of my car.
Oh,
And a couple of days after that, I've had the perception that I didn't feel safe and didn't drive. And then in that afternoon, really prayed for protection and still got almost sideswiped on the highway. And then a couple of days after that, just went off the road into the ditch and just driving on snowy roads. And I wonder, is this gin or is this something different?
um, well, I think deep down that there is some darkness around you. Okay, and I think that that's where it's coming from. So I think what's important is you've got to actually find why that's there. And I'm not sure. I have a feeling um, it may be a test. It may be a test for you that you're like, because usually the gym will often show up right before you change station or something like that, because they want to test you to see if you can maintain the light in that situation. I think
Yeah.
that's what's going on with you. But actually, when I ask about it, it has to do with what's the word? Like being scattered, like
Yeah.
that you get scattered, and
Yeah.
when that happens, that's what's causing the problem is you get distracted and scattered, and that's when this gets into you.
Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. So in there that there's some darkness and some scattering. That is the opening that I'm looking at, would look at.
Yeah, you have to look
Okay.
because remember, that's the opening exactly. You get scattered because I don't know why. That's what you have to find out. And when you do, that's when you're distractible and you can, fall down or get hit or something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
So, but that original exchange with the woman, that's positive, right? That's not
That's
a tricky
no,
gin
no,
or
no,
yeah.
no. I think that was all good. I think I think she's a little like she knows how to work the system a little bit when I feel her.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It
but
wasn't, yeah,
wasn't.
it's uh, I felt that too, but overall
Oh
that's
yeah,
good.
well, she needed help, and you did it, and it was Baraka blessings for doing it. But
Okay.
she could be a little straighter, and but that's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Um, okay, Nur.
Assalamu alaikum, Ibrahim. Two quick questions. One, is it true that we are assigned a jinn to be with us when we're born, like we are guardian angels? And number two, because I've heard that or read that somewhere, and I wonder, you would know. And secondly, kind of related to what Amal was talking about, are there signs to know if it's a jinn, like a negative dark entity, or whether it's just a, not a nice human that we're dealing with?
Well, in Sufi teachings, there's something called shaitan. Okay, in English, Satan, but really Satan is a derivative of the word shaitan. Shaitan means in Aramaic, which is one of the foundational languages on our planet, to be distant from God. It means distant. It's one who's been distant from God. Okay, when you're with God, your being is radiant with light. But when you're not with God, your being can become cloudy, and then after that, it becomes darker and darker and darker. And I'm talking about your light body, not your outside body, because when I'm talking about your skin color, I'm talking about your inner light. Okay. Okay. So there are humans that are shaitan, there are jinns that are shaitan. They both exist.
Mm. Okay. Is there a way to, well, I guess then it's just the things you already talked about, the feeling, the intuitive feeling, or certain signs that might alert us that something is afoot in.
You have to listen to your feelings. People, they don't, you have to listen to your feelings. If you feel, Allah will tell you every single time, like with Amal, he told her there was something not right. She didn't want to drive, but she ended up driving and she almost got hit by a car. He warned her. He gave her the warning, but she went out. Okay, you have to learn to listen to your feelings and also listen to uh, we say the voice of God. It's really the angelic voice, but you listen to they will warn you. They will tell you every single time. Every single time. They will tell you when there's danger and there's problems, but we don't listen to it. We don't believe it.
And this idea that some jinn type being is also with us from birth, is that true or not? Like a guardian angel.
Yeah, Allah gives every human being a shaitan, and He gives every human being an angel, guardian angel. Okay, the angel is here to protect you and to tell you, and that's what Amal was getting. Don't leave. That was the angel speaking to her. Don't go. Okay, but the shaitan probably simultaneously spoke to her and said, "No, no, don't worry about it. You're fine. Go, go, go. Don't listen to that." That battle in yourself to who you listen to is much of the problems that happen in the human being.
Thank you. That helps. Thank you.
Okay? And by the way, one of the first teachings in Sufism is you learn to identify these voices in yourself. What is the voice of shaitan? What is the voice of we say the voice of God, but like I said, it's really the angels. What is your ego self and how does that affect you? And can you identify in your own listening who you're listening to? Okay. Okay. Christine. Oh, Christine Albright. Okay. Yasmin. Where's your Yasmin name? Yasmin, I think you're muted if you unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, Ibrahim.
Hello, Yasmin.
I actually talked to you about this way back when I was living at the land, I think. So at that time, when I was in my bedroom, and I just opened my eyes at night, so it's nighttime, so there's no light. But I could still see things, maybe light coming in from the window from the street or something. And there was these big black blobs in my room, and they were really noticeable, and they were kind of scary. It's like, what are those big black blobs? And I told you about it, and you just kind of smiled and nodded like you knew about that. And so but I don't think I talked to you any more about that. So is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, but sometimes Allah gives an order for somebody like myself to help protect you. So sometimes you just get protection, it's a gift. But sometimes Allah doesn't give the order for protection. because he wants you to learn. Or sometimes people are drawing it in because they're, doing bad things, and then, Allah may say, look, if you're going to do these bad things, there's a consequence for that. So it depends on what's going on in a person's life. In your case, you were getting protection. That's why I was smiling, because you got a gift.
So those big black blobs, is that anything to be concerned about? So I was actually checking the other night, like consciously looking, do I see those anymore? And I haven't seen them since. So that was like 30 years ago. So, but I'm just wondering if it's,
Don't worry about them. But at the same time, make sure that you're praying, or you're praying your salat.
yep, absolutely.
Okay, pray your salat. And then if they keep showing up, which they're not, but if they did, then you would have to take it up a level. I mean, you'd have to do more to protect it.
Okay. That's good. I'm just curious, more of a curious question. And because it was very evident, like what are these big black blobs in my room at night, and kind of scary, and just wondering. So I just wanted to run that by you.
I think, honestly, when I look at it, I think Allah is trying to get you to become more subtle. And so this is like he's been trying to get you doing it one way, but you haven't really done it. So he brought the blobs in to really kind of catch your curiosity and get you thinking about it. He's trying to teach you to be more latif.
So what does subtle look like?
Your consciousness, how conscious are you? Like, are you aware of the subtle world of the malakut? Are
Okay.
you aware of the Jabarut? What are you aware of?
Okay. Well, I'm very, I do like all my practices, and just do healings on myself every morning for at least an hour. And then it kind of carries, and that energy just kind of carries me through the day. And if I don't do those, I so notice that I didn't do it. So I do it every day, because I'm very aware of the energy shift if I don't do it. Or if I do
That's
it.
that's the protection, Yasmin. You're getting the protection through the practices. When you don't do it, you feel it, you know it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. But the practices also, doesn't mean that you're going to go deeper. There might be something that says, "Oh, I'm scared of that world, so I don't want to go there." So you protect yourself, but you don't go deeper. And sometimes I think when I look deep, Allah is wanting to open more of the Jabarut, the soul world for you, so you can know more of it and go deeper, and you're kind of resisting it.
So how would I go deeper? Because I would love to do that, because I can feel that like there's this, um, well, like you're saying, shallowness in my life. And so how can I go deeper?
Well, I think in your case, you need the deeper teachings, to go into the teachings in the Jabarut, the teachings in the Lahut, the higher teachings.
Mhm.
I think you need more time with community, so that community can kind of challenge you, and people can kind of challenge you and take you out of your comfort zone. I think you need to make more tauba, ask God for forgiveness for the place that you're keeping yourself protected, and walk the stations, read the third station of the soul and really walk those stations.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's make room for somebody else. So thank you very much, Yasmin. And
Okay.
I'm going to take, I think, maybe one more. And it looks like we're just about at time here, actually. Okay. Is it Grisel? I can't quite make it out. Can,
Oh, Assalamu alaikum. It's Gina. This is GN Zalver. But I just have a question. Do they teach us boundaries
absolutely.
in our daily lives, the jinn?
Yeah. They teach all sorts of things, but the major thing is stay in the presence of God, surrounded by God's light, and there's protection.
Yes, I too notice if I don't do my practices certain ways that and I've noticed in one of my greatest life challenges how important those practices really are every day.
Every day. It's really important, everybody. Do your practices. It's not, I mean, if you do bad things, you're going to draw bad things to you. If you do nothing, you're not doing bad or nothing good, you're not drawing bad, but actually you're not really having protection. If you do your practices, you have the protection and you draw the angels to you and they will help you. They'll guide you. They'll support you. You'll get all that help that you don't have otherwise. So it's important to do your practices. Okay. All right. I think everybody, we have the Sufi Circle coming in at 8:15. If you haven't thought about it, you might consider it. That's basically, tonight we'll be taking just questions the whole time, working with people, talking to people, sometime demonstrating healing when I'm here. The other teachers will also be working in different topics with you. It kind of creates a community for you, a place for you to rest, a place for you to be. It's something you should think about trying. If you really feel that you want to go deeper, then look into the Institute of Spiritual Healing. That is really a great program. It will teach you everything I'm teaching you tonight. It will teach you all how to protect yourself, how to do the practices, how to walk the stations, how to purify yourself, what are the outer teachings, how to protect yourself, how to have safety in your life, how to find peace in your life. That's what that is all about. So anyways, look into it, people, and give yourself a chance with it. Try it. Yeah, it's important. It's important at this time. Okay, Yasmin, you want to say anything before we close up tonight?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ibrahim. This was beautiful tonight. I really appreciate all that you've given us, and I pray that everyone here really drinks in the depths of the beauty and the protection that is available to us in every moment. Thank you for the transmission. And I really encourage everyone, like Ibrahim said, to check out the Sufi Circle if you haven't already, and to reach out to Nahida Fauzia, our beloved admissions director, if you're really thinking about what your next step is. Her email is in the chat, and she would love to hear from you. And before we close, the next class, February 19th, we have a guest speaker coming. Dr. Jaffe will not be with us. We'll be having Murshida Salima Adelstein join us. Ibrahim, is there anything you just want to say to introduce Salima to the people?
Yeah, many of you don't know Salima. Salima is one of the other Mirshads. A Mirshad means a guide. Salima actually is the only guide in the United States in our order, which means that she's really a true leader and a guide, and she's very wise. And for me, Slim is of course part of this organization, but I always think about boat, like we're on a boat. And I always think about Salima being the one up in the bird's nest, looking way, way out in the distance to see what's coming. And I always say to her, Salima, what do you see? Because she's up high, looking way out, and she likes to look and see what's out there. So she has a lot of very good insight, and she holds the deep love. She really carries the deep love and the deep support. And she can really help you to really deeply walk through your being. So don't miss it, because she's a very special woman. And I think she's really something very unusual in the sense of what she carries. So anyways, don't miss her next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, it's wonderful to be with you, everyone. Don't miss your chance. If you're feeling called to Sufi Circle, you can sign up now, and the beautiful team will send you the link if you want to continue this discussion there. And reach out to Nahida, and we hope to see you in a couple weeks at our next February event. So thank you again, Dr. Jaffe, and salam alaikum to everyone. Peace and blessings to all of your hearts.
Let's take 10 minutes before we jump into the Sufi Circle and take a short break. So 10 minutes, everybody will come in, okay? All right, assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Salam alaikum.